Hey Tarot friends, it's Julie, and I am here with a tag called Bling Your Decks, and this is from Elizabeth over at The More Intuitive Me. Thank you so much for tagging me for this one. So this tag basically takes jewelry pieces as the basis for decks that we are going to choose. And to be clear, you don't need to own or show any jewelry pieces to participate in this tag. Do whatever you want to this tag. Elizabeth encourages you to do that. So check out the prompts. They're written in the description box below. For a lot of these, I will be focusing on only specific parts of each description and maybe not necessarily the entire thing. And hopefully that will become clearer as we go through the tag. The first prompt is pearls, and I'll go ahead and show you one that I'm wearing right now. I have a few pearls because I'm a June baby, and so pearl is one of my birthstones, and I think all the pearls that I've received have been gifted to me. This, along with a matching pearl pendant, was given to me by my mother-in-law. And the story is that when she was pregnant with Matt, she had, I think, gone to Disney World or somewhere where she did like a pick a pearl activity. You know, when you can pick out an oyster and they'll open it and give you the pearl inside. So I think the one she picked out had two pearls in them, and she decided that she would save them for his future wife. So choose a deck that helps you soften by connecting with the element of water and tapping into your tuition. And I went ahead and chose the Eastern Ink Tarot. Might be a bit on the nose, but this feels very watery to me. Even a lot of the Chinese cloud imagery, which is, very iconic, the way these clouds are rendered. And I think they're called, there's a specific Chinese term, but translation is like lucky clouds or auspicious clouds. Even those clouds remind me of water, whether it be like waves or like, sea foam. I always have the association of water when I see these clouds. So then on top of that, the deck itself does show a lot of watery images. And this is just a very easy deck to use. So I'm not having to rely on any guidebook. It's all there for me in these images. Prompt number 2 is choker. And the closest thing I think I have is probably this. Although I do have some more delicate chains that I guess are choker length, but this is just a simple black cord, and you have snowflake obsidian beads here. So choose a deck that helps you claim your voice and honor your truth. For this one, I feel like I could have chosen any number of decks, but I went with Tarot of Mystical Moments because I can recall specific instances where I was giving myself a reading and I was having self-doubt. I was having feelings of guilt, self-blame, and this deck made me see that no, my feelings were in fact valid. I wasn't being unreasonable. My wanting to protect myself was not being selfish. And so I needed to honor that, and I needed to honor my boundaries. Number 3, tiara or headpiece. The closest thing I have to a headpiece are my cat ears that I wear for Halloween, but I don't really know that that counts. Now, I am a doll collector, and my dolls do have tiaras and headpieces. So we've got this little one here. We've got something like this, which is pretty badass, but that's kind of all she wrote. Choose a deck that helps you step into your queen energy and lead with power and grace. The deck that I chose for this one is the traditional Korean tarot by Bana. I often just call this the Bana tarot. And I feel like the majority of this deck is just queen energy. Very overt, regal, vibrant, commanding energy. It makes me want to put on a hanbok and wield a sword, basically. Isn't it beautiful? But I mean, look at that. Look at her. Queen energy all around. Cuff bracelet. I don't have any cuff bracelets. I would say maybe the closest I could come to a piece like that is this, which is a watch that I haven't worn in years. The batteries run out, but it kind of looks like a cuff, I guess. And my main reason for buying this is because I had just gotten this tattoo, and at that time, given where I was working, the environment was a bit on the conservative side, and all my other tattoos are hidden, so this one would have been like the most visible. I mean, nowadays, no one cares, or rather, so many places are very accepting of tattoos, but back in my day, that was something to still consider. And then also, I just didn't want to incite any arguments from my parents because they're very traditional. And they were aware that I had other tattoos, or at least one other tattoo, but that was just always hidden, so they never saw it. Again, this being more visible, I didn't want to take any chances of bringing on an argument. Yes, grown-ass Julie was still afraid of her parents. Don't pretend that some of y'all aren't still afraid of your parents, even as grown-ass adults, okay? So for cuff bracelet, choose a deck that helps you feel protected and helps you stand in your power. This is going to be predictable given that I have talked about this deck in this very context, and that is the Sasarai Bito Tarot. I have spoken at length about how this deck does make me feel supported. It does make me feel protected. And yet at the same time, it does remind me and it encourages me to exercise my own fortitude. And so, yeah, this is a deck that I pull out when I need some support and maybe I'm feeling vulnerable. And actually, it's one of the decks I'm working with currently. Prompt number 5 is Anklet, and I don't own any, though when I was a teen, I used to wear anklets all the time, specifically chains, like gold chains. Choose a deck that makes you feel free, one that invites you to move your body and celebrate your sensuality. When it comes to the idea of sensuality, I immediately thought of this deck, which I'm also working with currently, and that is the Goddess of Love Tarot. I went ahead and featured this in my newer but neglected decks video. Okay, I have to remember to be careful about nudity. If any of you have any insight about what exactly YouTube is flagging when it comes to nudity, Marlene, Teresa, and I were chatting, and we were like, okay, so are TNA okay, but like peen and vagine aren't? We just don't know. And it's ridiculous that we are even having this conversation about these types of artistic renderings, but if you have any info, please do share. Anywho, this deck, funny enough, is one that I don't really want to work with the sole focus of sensuality, even though it is very much that type of deck. Uh, it's an erotic divine feminine deck. There is that, but I haven't really wanted to work with it that way, so that's what we've been exploring. But if I did want to tap into my sensuality, this would definitely be the deck that I would go to. The next prompt is Charm Bracelet, and I don't own one. And I would say that the last time I had anything that was like a charm type of jewelry was back in the 80s when I had those like plastic charm necklaces. Do any of you know what I'm talking about? Very nostalgic. I loved the shit out of that necklace. Choose a deck that helps you tell your story, one that feels personal, expressive, and rich with symbols that reflect your journey. For this one, I decided to go with Cup of Contemplation cards. This is definitely personal to me because it is a deck that I created. And it also shows my love for mugs and teacups, which are another thing that I collect. And many of these questions were ones that I was thinking about at the time that I created this deck. So not only is this a creation that I personally birthed, but these are prompts that I feel are important for me to revisit. Number 7, Cha-Cha bracelet. I don't own any of those, but in the spirit of the Cha-Cha bracelet and the energy it's meant to represent, I am going to show this right here, which is a friendship bracelet from a lovely friend, Mistress Ray. I still have it. I wear it. It's so much fun. It just reminds me of her. I love it so much. I love me skellies and skulls, and so does she. Choose a deck that lifts your mood, one that brings brightness, playfulness, or a sense of celebration when you need it most. The deck I chose for this one is the Earthly Souls and Spirits Moon Oracle. This is a very affirming deck for me. And the imagery is gentle and inviting, and it can be playful. And so whenever I need a mood booster, and whenever I feel like I need some positivity and encouragement, this is the deck that's perfect for that. And I got to give a shout out to the guidebook because I truly believe this is a really good one not to skip. I like how we have a quote and then, the write-up of the card entry, and it's just well written and concise and gives me just enough to supplement the message. Prompt number 8, prayer beads. So I have 2, and this is the one that I've had the longest. This is made up of tiger eye and Botswana agate, which is one of my favorite crystals. And one of the beads had broken, so I couldn't ignore it. Like I just couldn't, when making a pass, like I couldn't ignore that there was a broken bead there. So instead of buying another set, I decided I wanted to try and fix this. And so I went onto YouTube and I learned how to restring these mala beads. And I think I did okay. I learned the technique where you use spacers. It's fine, for a first try. It works. It does the job. I wish I would have done a cleaner job, but it is what it is. And then my other set of prayer beads is this one right here. This is a shorter set. And this is actually dedicated to the goddess Persephone. So we have the pomegranate here. And I don't necessarily do dedicated Persephone work. I just liked the look of these prayer beads. That's really it. However, over time, I did not like the wire that was used to string them, so I went ahead and redid that with just this, jewelry elastic, just as a kind of temporary solution. But it's holding up fine, and you know, using it has been a better experience than with the wire. So I love them both. Choose a deck that invites devotion and helps you connect to your higher power, whatever that means to you. So, whenever there is like a prompt that asks for a deck associated with higher power, higher self, spiritual guides, I automatically go to the Spirit Keepers Tarot. And I don't think I need to explain any further why. I have said before that I have used this deck in other instances. You can use this deck for mundane type readings. I mean, I've gone to this deck to ask, stuff like, okay, should I really try to make the effort and go out with my friends tonight, or should I just stay in? And this is not snotty or elitist about answering questions like that. Statement, ring, or piece. I'm going to show this one because I feel like it's just a lot of fun, and I made this. I bought these pieces separately, this resin piece right here, and then I found a blank. And because my skin is sensitive and because I have small fingers, I needed to ensure that the metal would not give me an allergic reaction and that it would actually fit on my finger. So I went with this adjustable sterling silver blank, and yeah, it's a fun ring. Choose a deck that makes you feel your boldest, one that commands attention and helps you show up with confidence. Okay, a deck that commands attention, hands down, the Bon Sequitur is definitely one of those decks. Look at the colorway, how bold and fun it is, just how dynamic and active these images are. Like, look at that. Talk about confidence. Talk about boldness. This is definitely a deck that commands attention. The final prompt is antique jewelry piece. I think the oldest jewelry piece I have is more vintage, not as old as an antique would be. And I've shown this before in my crystal combos video, and that is this pendant right here. This is from the 1970s, and it's a blue lace agate pendant. Choose a deck that helps you reflect, one that carries depth, history, and wisdom. The selected deck for this final prompt is the Morning Calm Oracle. This is definitely a deck that is reflective. Here we have the Korean shaman, or the mudang. So you have instances of history with several images and symbols like this. People in their hanbok. But there's also a mix of contemporary that's also included in here as well. So it is a nice combination of key titles and images that encourage reflection and that also speaks to cultural history and wisdom. And that wraps up this tag. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're well, and I will catch you in the next video. Take care.